All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, What's New in Compliance and Audits Management? We have a lot to cover today, so I want to just quickly jump in, cover a couple of housekeeping items. First, we're excited to share with you the latest updates from our Yokohama release for our compliance and audit solutions. I'm Emily Podasky, a product marketing manager here at ServiceNow, and I am joined by Anushree Ranad and Anup Sharan, and we will be talking all things audit and all things compliance today. Before we get started, a couple of reminders. You are on mute, but that doesn't mean that you can't ask questions. Please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to ask questions throughout the session. We do have a team of experts on who will be answering your questions in real time. Also, today's session will be recorded, and it will be available on demand on the ServiceNow Community Forum and on our YouTube channel in the next 48 hours. So in case you want to reference back to today's conversations or share it with a colleague, it will be available within 24 hours. Additionally, we have a short survey at the end of the session, and we'd love to hear from you to see how we did. We do use this feedback to improve our sessions, and we'd really value your input. And so with that, this is just one of a series of release webinars for the Yokohama release. If you've missed our previous sessions, don't worry. We do have recordings available on the community forum and on the YouTube channel for our sessions around Gen AI, Now Assist, operational resilience, business continuity management, and a deep dive into our smart assessments engine, our privacy management solution, and ESG. We also have Tuesday session around continuous authorization and monitoring up and available, and our risk management session. Today, we are focusing on our enhancements to our audit and compliance capabilities, taking a look at the new risk and controls matrix for our audit solution, enhancements to streamline our regulatory change management, and the new assessments experience for compliance case management. But I will save all of those details for Anushree and Anup. Lastly, we'll be wrapping our series on Tuesday with our enhancements to our third-party risk management solution. We highly recommend you checking out all of these sessions because there are a lot of great features that came out within the Yokohama release that you can use to your benefit. So scan this QR code here on the right. This will take you to our events blog if you want to register for our third-party risk management solution session next week. And I will post links to our YouTube channel in the chat here shortly for quick access to that channel. And with that, that brings us to our first update. Everything that you see today is available in the ServiceNow store. So we're really excited to share all of these great features and enhancements with you. And so without further ado, I will turn it over to Anushree to get us started. Anushree?
Thanks, Emily. Let me share my screen. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. And I'm very excited today to talk about some of the new features that we released in our February release as well as November release. And there are some enhancements to our existing features as well, both on the compliance as well as on the audit side. So let's begin with quickly getting a view of what are those enhancements. So the first thing that I want to share here is the compliance score roll-up on the entity hierarchy. This is something a lot of you have asked for many times, and we have it available in the product now. You can roll up the compliance score based on the entity hierarchy now. Previously, it was just based on the directly associated controls on the entity. There are some performance improvements as well that we did on compliance score calculation. So there are enhancement on the compliance score in general. The second feature I want to highlight is the policy redlining enhancements. I have demoed how our policy redlining and the entire authoring flow works in a previous webinar for SharePoint, Google Drive, as well as OneDrive. There are some enhancements that we did on top of that. One is support for Google Docs that many of you asked for. That was released in November release. Along with that, uploading local document to cloud. So from ServiceNow, from a policy record, how do you upload a document that you might have in your local machine on cloud, on either Google Drive, SharePoint, and OneDrive? So you don't have to move away and link that document directly to your policy. And the last one that we enhance in the February release is the ability to turn off the sync between your policy text as well as your Google Drive, SharePoint, and OneDrive. Some of you provided us feedback that there might be larger policy text, let's say more than 10 pages, more than 50 pages of the policy. If you want to sync that over to ServiceNow policy record, it might be a really long policy text. So some of you asked us to turn it off by default. So all the policies, the sync could be turned on or off based on a property. So you can decide how you want to handle that. The next one is control attestation frequency enhancements. We released the new assessment engine for control attestation a couple releases back, and we went through that demo. But in this particular release, we did some more enhancement to the control attestation and the frequency of the attestation. So we added a new field for control attestation frequency, which can be used for scheduling your attestations. And the previously used field, which was frequency, now is kept as sort of for the reporting purpose on your execution of the control frequency. So it has no automation around it. And this is, again, something we've gotten feedback from customers that they want to use that policy the control frequency field for reporting purpose. So we did that, as well as the scheduling of the attestation is now based on the created date as well. So you can choose between either the last updated date or created date, whatever you want to choose based on a property. Then we did some enhancement on the UCF import. If you are using UCF integration, there was a problem that some of our customers faced where there were duplicate citations that were coming in from UCF because of the control objectives that were associated with it. So we took care of the duplicate citations and we deduplicated them. So any import that you do from a UCF will not have duplicate citation in a single authority document. All right, so that was on the compliance side. On the audit side, there are exciting two features that we released. One is risk and control matrix. This is a matrix report combining multiple columns or multiple tables together in one single view. This is highly configurable and can be used not only for audit, but in your compliance workspace or a risk workspace for any use case that you would like to. So you can bring in the tables and the related columns as you like in this matrix report. The second feature, which is Document Designer, this is something that we released in November, which is available for you in the store already. We did some enhancements in the February release. We released a Word add-in to basically create a Word template for things like audit reports, or you can use it for any other purpose. We are trying to, we made it available generically, so other products within a risk suite of products will be able to leverage this capability. So you can pretty much use it for your BCM plans, or you can use it for any other reports or templates like policy templates, etc. So this is available, and we did some enhancement on top of it in this release, and we continue doing some enhancements on that. So would be happy to show you what we developed. So with that, I am going to go over the first feature, which is a compliance score roll-up on entity hierarchy. As I previously mentioned, the compliance score roll-up wasn't available. The old formula would look at the average of directly related controls and calculate the compliance score on an entity. With the new updated logic, we are calculating the compliance score on the entity based on the average of directly related controls as well as downstream entities. So now the score will be updated based on your downstream entities as well. We can, you have a choice to turn on this logic based on a property. So if you are not ready yet, and you want to make sure that you've entity hierarchy set up correctly, and then you turn it on, you can do that on your terms. There is a scheduled job to update existing entity and entity hierarchies. So once you enable this property, you can run the scheduled job to update all your entities in the system. And then we also have newly improved schedule job, which also is has a performance improvement around it, which will reduce in the time that is taken to calculate your compliance score and save the memory while calculating the score. So these are some of the enhancements. With that, I'm going to get into the instance and demo it to you quickly. So this is a property on our properties page, policy and compliance properties page, which you can turn on and off, which is entity hierarchy based scoring. If this is turned on, in this case, I have checked it on, you can now leverage this particular new calculation logic to enable compliance score roll up on your entity hierarchy. So let's take an example of the hierarchy here. I have my ACME US as a top level entity. Under that, I do have customer support, finance, HR, IT. These are all the departments. And each one of them have business services and applications associated with them. So if I open it up, I would see either business services, applications, data servers, etc. associated here. Now, in a previous instance, the entity score calculation would have happened only based on the directly associated controls. What I mean by here is if I go to the downstream controls and show the directly related controls, it would have calculated it based on these three controls. So ACME US score would have been, there are two controls which are compliant versus out of one, out of the three. So let me actually add the compliance score status field. Okay, so you'll be able to see that the two controls are compliant and one is non-compliant. So based on that, the score should have calculated in a different way, but I think you can see now that the score shows 78 here, right? Otherwise, and that is looking at all the downstream entity score, and we'll come to that, how we calculated it. Now, if I look at the IT service, it is looking at the score that is coming from the IT services business service, as well as its own directly related controls as well. Same for HR, finance, customer service. And all of that score is calculated and rolled up on top. Let me go back and show you how this calculation is done. So currently, the way the calculation is done at the ACME US level is based on these two controls that are control 5 and 6, which are both compliant. So your score would be 100%. But in the future logic, we are looking at the downstream entities and the average of directly related controls as well. So it is going to take into consideration the score coming from finance and IT departments, as well as scores from the directly related controls, and calculate your compliance score, which is 75% instead of 100% in the previous case. Now, this logic is based on the compliance scoring that we've done on the other objects as well. So on authority document, it is the average of citations. On policy, it's an average of policy and control objective. And on the citation, it takes the average of control objective and the child citations as well. Previously, the entity score, of course, wasn't taking into consideration the average of entities and control. But now with the new formula, you'd be able to see it's going to be the average of the children here. So that's the new change. Now, looking at the example that we had in hand, my compliance score was calculated at the department level, customer support, HR, finance, and IT in this way, which we saw in the instance. And this compliance score would then roll up to my ACME US level, which is an average of all these four, as well as the average of three control objectives here. So my average is 89 for these four departments and 67 for the three controls, which calculates to about 78%, which we saw here. And the score that if I look at the finance department alone, I'm able to see that it has SAP Accounting as a business service and SAP CRM under it as an application. So my SAP CRM is 100% compliant, and SAP Financial Accounting has 6 controls out of 9 which are compliant, which calculates about 67. And along with that, it is rolling up score from SAP CRM, and the total is calculated as 67 here. An average of both 67 and 100 is calculated as 84 here on the finance, which is what we will see here. So if I look at the SAP CRM, it's 100, SAP Financial Accounting, 67, because 6 out of 9 controls are compliant. And then finance department, all of that rolls up as 84. And then in total, everything, if I look at all the departments, it rolls up at the ACMA US level. So that is the change in the compliance score logic. If you have any questions, you can add it to the chat, and our experts here will answer your questions. All right. With that, I'm going to move on to the next feature, which is SharePoint or Google Drive support for Google Docs, as well as uploading a local document to OneDrive, SharePoint, Google Drive, and turning the sync text feature off. These are all the enhancements on the policy redlining enhancements or policy redlining feature that we released earlier. The first feature is the enabling policy redlining with Google Drive, and also ability to connect to Google Doc or create a new Google Doc while uploading a document from your local machine. You can either connect to existing Google Doc or you can upload a new file on Google Drive as a Google Doc. Those are some of the features that are available. Apart from that, you can enable the sync text off and on here on the policy text, which I'll take you, which I will demo it to you shortly. But you can turn that sync off and on, and accordingly, the policy text will be synced with the document that might be available on the Google Drive, SharePoint, or OneDrive. So with that, I'm going to go over to my instance, and I've taken the example of this information security policy. Here, I do have Able Tutor, who's the owner of the policy. When I come to policy text here, I would be able to see the enable document editing option, where I can create a new document, connect to existing document, or upload a document. Let's take an example of upload a document, because that is another new feature that we released in November. So if I look at that, and it gives me an option to upload this document as Google Doc or as Word on Google Drive. And it asks me for the folder location of the Google Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this folder location, copy the link here. And I am going to upload it as Google Doc. I'm going to go ahead and upload a policy here, information security policy. Once it's uploaded, it will be uploaded in the folder link that you have provided. So here my policy is uploaded, and I can open that policy in Google Drive as Google Doc. So you'll be able to see that there's a new document support, which is Google Doc, and the policy is uploaded here. You can perform your redlining, updating, adding comments, etc. And all of that will be synced back to the policy if this particular sync was turned on. Now, in this case, the sync is turned off by default because there is a property that we turned off. So if you look at this property here, enable redlining document text sync by off by default or text sync by default, it is turned as off. So the syncing of the document text from Google Drive to the policy text is not happening in this case. You can turn it off by default. So any new policy that you create, that sync will be off. But if you want to turn that sync on the policy, you can always go ahead and manually turn it on. And that will enable you to sync the policy text from Google Doc here. So this is the new capability that we released. Now the Google Doc Google Doc integration is available as well. So if you're using Google Doc, you can go ahead and use this feature. All right, so moving on. Control attestation frequency enhancements. So we added a new control, the attestation frequency field on the form, which is an additional field apart from the frequency field that we used to have on the control form before. This field is used to set up your attestation frequency, and you can also use a property to define whether these attestations should be sent out based on the last created date of the last attestation or the updated date of the last attestation. So let's go ahead and see how this feature looks like. So I have an example of this control here. On this control, I do see a frequency field here, which used to have logic of scheduling attestations before, but we have removed that logic. So this field is purely used for your reporting or defining execution frequency of control, which has no execution or scheduling logic here. Then we added a new field on under the attestation section. You can see the attestation frequency. This is a field which can be now used for scheduling your attestation. So you can choose daily, weekly, monthly, etc. And based on that, your attestations will be sent out. Now, there's a property that is set for you to define whether the attestation should be sent out based on a created date or updated date, like I said. So I'm just going to go to this property quickly. And so let's look at this property where you can select, yeah, this was on the other page. All right, I logged in as able tutor, so let me go ahead and end that impersonation. So here is the property that I was talking about. So which is trigger control attestation based on the created or updated date. You can choose which date you want. So in this case, I've chosen created date. Because I've chosen created date, and in this, one of the example that I have here, I've chosen the frequency as daily. And that's why the attestations were sent out daily. I have some examples of attestation that were triggered automatically. So you can say they were triggered on 17, 18, and 19 as well. So those attestations were triggered based on the created date here. Similarly, I have an example of attestation that was sent weekly, and those are generated every week based on the frequency here. Again, both of them are based on the created date. So this is a new enhancement to the control attestation. All right, so the next one is deduplication of UCF citations within one authority document. What we're doing here is the issue that we had or customers were facing before is when you are importing the citations or importing the authority documents from UCF, UCF has a structure of citations and the control objectives under citation. In this case, let's say citation 1 is a parent, citation 2 is a child, and citation 2 has control objective 1 and 2. Now, if there is a new control objective update that came in for the same citation in the same hierarchy, it would generate this control objective 3, but it'll create the duplicated citation 2 and 1 as well. So that was a problem customers were facing. To resolve that problem, we fixed that in our recent release, which will now enable you to import your citations which are not duplicate citation. So instead of a set of like 4 citations here, it would just have a set of 2 citations, 1 and 2, and all the 3 control objectives will be associated with this citation. So this is the new fix that we have in place, any new import from UCF will have unique citations in place. Now let's see how it looks like in the instance. I have an example of authority document here where I see that, okay, let me log in again. So in this example, I do see that there is the citation A1.1. It has 3 instances of citation. And if I look into each one of them, it would have unique control objective associated with it. Now, these 3 citations are exactly same with 3 different control objectives. So with the fix that we put in place, now you can see that with the new system, if I look at the same authority document, I would only have one of those citations. And if I drill down into the citation, I would be able to see those 3 control objectives now associated with the citation. So that is a fix that we have in place. So you don't have to worry about having duplicate citations anymore. All right, so with that, let's move on to the next feature, which is an enhancement or new feature that we release in Audit. This is very exciting and something, like I said before, is configurable. So this is a risk and control matrix in which you'll be able to display different columns from different tables which are related to each other. You can configure it for any table. By default, out of the box, we have it for our audit workspace, and on the audit engagement, you'll be able to see it. And you can configure it for any other table as well. This is a generic matrix support framework, like I said, so you can configure it as per your requirement. So let's go ahead and look at it, how it looks like. Give me 1 second. Okay, log in. Let's go to audit workspace. On the audit workspace, you'll be able to see a new icon here for matrix report. If you click into it, you'll be able to see this matrix report here, which I will go to the configuration shortly. So here I have my columns from risk, risk name and risk number. And I have also columns that are added for control. So I'm showing what are the controls that are associated with each of the risks. So it shows me, okay, these are the 3 controls that are associated with the details of the control here, which is associated with this particular risk. Now, if I want more information, I have configured some more additional tables as well. So if I click into a detail of a particular risk, I would be able to see this panel where I would be able to see all the controls that are associated with this risk, all the control tests that are associated with this control, the controls that you were able to see in the previous tab, as well as the control issues. Of course, you can configure all different tabs as well here. As long as you have that configuration in place, these tabs will appear automatically here and the columns will show up here. So this is on the audit workspace on our landing page. Now let's go to our engagement here. And let's open up this engagement. This audit engagement will also show you the risk or the matrix support tab here, which will show this particular matrix. Now you can configure a different matrix to show here versus a different matrix to show on the landing page. So all that configuration is available. I've configured the same matrix for both. So you'll be able to see the exact same information here. Now let's see how this is configured. So if I go to the matrix report registry, I would be able to see the different reports that I've configured. In this case, I've just configured one. So if I click into the risk and control matrix, I would be able to see what is my matrix name, what is the base table I'm starting off with. I'm starting off with the risk in this case. And then you can define what are the different columns that you want to enter in the risk, the matrix report. So in this case, I have entered the risk and the risk number, risk name and the risk number. You can add additional columns as well. You can also define some filter condition to only show, let's say, high priority risks if you want to. Then the next one is the control. So it shows me these are the controls which have relationship with the risk. So there is a source table and the relationship, as well as the target table, which is control, and the columns that you want to define, which we would bring into this matrix. Similarly, we have the control tests and control issues that are configured. Now, this is how you configure your matrix report, but now you can also configure it either on your landing page or on the engagement form, as I was showing before. So if I look into this particular configuration, this is for the landing page and this is for the record page engagement. So if I come here, I can choose what my base table again is. What was my matrix report? So this is the one we just went over. So you can choose that matrix report configuration that you've defined. And you can also choose which workspace to show it on as well. So you can choose any other workspace like risk and compliance and configure this on that particular workspace as well. You can choose either you want to show it as a landing page or a record page. In this case, I want to show it on the landing page. So I've defined what is the engagement, what is the table that I want to filter on. I can filter on the engagement table and show what is the relationship of that engagement table with the base table. So everything that you see on this particular landing page is associated with all the risk controls that are part of all the engagement tables. So that is my filter here. And on the other hand, for the record page, I can also configure something similar where I can define whether this is the display type is record page or landing page. And similarly, I can define where do you want to showcase this? I want to showcase this on engagements. And this is my relationship between the risk and engagement. So I would pull in the risks that are associated with that particular engagement and then the related data after that. So that's my risk and control matrix. If you have any questions so far, please post them in the chat or Q&A section. And then we come to the last feature of my section today. So this is Document Designer, which we released in November, and we did some more enhancement on top of it in this particular release. This is a very exciting feature. Again, this is available generically for you to configure it for not only for audit, but for other tables as well. So what we did in this particular feature is we created the audit report template. You can basically create audit report template using Microsoft Word add-in. You can create configuration based on a specific table in ServiceNow. In this case, I'm going to take an example of audit engagement table. You can add custom variables. You can define custom variables if they don't even exist on audit table, such as high priority issues, and pull them into the report. You can, of course, pull all your fields from the audit as well, audit engagement, into this particular document or Word document. Along with that, you can pull the various related lists that are on the engagement. You can even traverse down to multiple related lists that and the related list of the reference fields on the audit engagement form. So it goes multiple levels down. And you can bring them on your Word document as a table. You can choose the columns like you see here, which you want to put in your table, order them as per your requirement. And once you add the table, it'll be added here. So you can also add the content block. Content block is nothing but the repeater block. So if, let's say, if you have like high priority issues on your engagement or observations, you want to repeat the entire description and various fields from each of the issue multiple times from all of the issues one after another in a block format instead of a tabular format. You'd be able to do that by just adding a content block with fields that you want to ingest here. And that block will repeat itself based on the number of issues that you have or based on the number of observations that you have. You can apply this template, of course. Once you build this template, you can format it. The formatting will be retained. And once that is done, you can apply this particular template to your records in ServiceNow. So in this case, you can apply to a particular audit engagement, and that audit engagement will look at the template and generate the Word report. This Word report can either be generated as an attachment or it can be uploaded to your SharePoint, Google, SharePoint and OneDrive. So that is based on the cloud document management feature we have. So you can generate the Word report and upload to pre-configured folder location as you like. There are some more enhancement that we did in the current release. We used to have limitation of 10 columns in a table or 10 columns in a content blocks, which we increased to 20 in this particular release. You can, if you see on the top right corner, I have design template, which is the word template add-in that I'm talking about. But there are two other add-ins of insert content and update content. These add-ins were released as part of ESG, which are available for you to insert the content directly into Word document. In this case, we are creating a template. So we are inserting the placeholder fields or tables, which you can apply to a record to generate the Word report. But in the insert content and update content add-ins, you can actually insert a report from your existing ServiceNow tables, or you can insert a particular field, etc. So that's inserting of the direct content into your Word document. So we've combined all these plugins or add-ins together, so you can use them interchangeably. You can use them one after another. You can create a template, generate a report, and then if you want, you can insert content in it. So all these capabilities are available. There are, of course, some guardrails we put in place. There are some limitations that this particular document will have to look at. So you cannot add more than 10 images. That is restricted. You can't add a content block inside a content block. So these are some of the limitations that we've put in place so that your Word document is generated accurately and there's no performance problem there, or there's no problem in getting an error while generating the report. So with that, I'm going to go over this feature quickly. Okay, go ahead and log in. All right, so in your instance, you would be able to see Office add-in manifest. If you click on that, you'll be able to see all these manifests that are available for you. Document Designer is the new manifest which you can download. And once you download, you can that'll be available for you. You have to go through certain steps for that add-in to show up on your Word document. So that is the new add-in that we've created for Document Designer. And the ServiceNow reporting is the other one which I was talking about, which would give you those two additional add-ins for insert content and update content. So these are available for you to download and use. Now let's go to the audit report. This is a new section we added where you'd be able to see the template configuration, where you can configure your template here. So if I go to the template configuration, and let's take an example of engagement template configuration. So this is the one that I've configured for the audit engagement. And in this configuration, you'll be able to see the various fields, various tables that we've added in this configuration. So while that is loading up, I'm going to switch over to my Word report here, Word document here. This is the Word document template that I have here. Second. Let me log in here. Okay, so once you log in into this add-in, you'll be able to see this particular UI, which I'll go over in a bit. But on the top, you'll be able to see design template, which is the add-in that we added for template designing. And then you would also be able to see insert content and update content, which I will go over as well. So these are the three add-ins available for you with those manifests that you download and install it in your Word. So here, what I've done is I have chosen a business domain as audit. We've defined certain domains so that you can define your templates based on different categorization, and it becomes easy for you to pull them here. So based on the audit, I do see different template configurations associated with this particular category. And I've chosen the engagement template configuration that I'll take you in a bit. So the engagement template configuration will give you access to various things that are coming from engagement. And these are based on the configuration. So here I'm able to see all the different fields coming from my audit engagement. And I would also be able to see some of the custom fields like high priority observations, count of high priority observations, which is not there today on audit engagement table. So you can define these fields as well. Along with adding the ingesting the fields, you can also see the table here, in which you'd be able to see various tables that you can pull into this particular Word template. And then lastly, the block. So you'll be able to create a block for, let's say, repeating the information of the issues, and I'll show it how it looks like as well. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and maybe replace this engagement name with the engagement name from my table. So I'm just going to go ahead and add name. Okay. Let me go and keep this and add the name here. I want to retain the formatting of it. So, and I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Now this is the metadata that I've added. Similarly, I can add the type if I want. And it'll replace the type here. So again, this is the metadata that I added here. Similarly, you can add your engagement plan and date. You can add your objective, result, opinion. This is where you can go ahead and add the custom variables as well, like high priority, number of high priority issues, observations, etc. Then you can add your tables here. I'm going to go ahead and add the entities table. So if I come here, I'll be able to go to the list of entities, and I can also edit the columns that I want to add. So this is the new enhancement that we did in the February release. I can go ahead and add the columns. I can reorder if I want to. So I'm going to add 4 out of 5 columns. Once these are added, I can say, okay, maybe the compliance score should go last, owner should go first, second field. Once I do that, I'm going to hit OK and add this particular table. So it's going to add it in the same order as I added here. I can also go ahead and format it. So if I want to go ahead and maybe change the color on the header, I'd be able to do that. All right, so I just highlighted them in black. And then once the report is generated, you'll be able to see how that formatting is retained. Similarly, I've gone ahead and added tables for issues and observations. And this is the content block that I was talking about. So I went ahead and added a content block. Inside a content block, I have added fields that are associated with the issue. So issue number, name, description. And I've also added the remediation task table here. So it'll not only show me the issue information, but it'll also show the remediation task under it. So once I do that and I configure my template, I can apply this template to my audit engagement, and it will generate the whole report for me based on everything that I've added, retaining my format. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my instance. This is the configuration. So here I have chosen the table as engagement. I've added the fields that I want to show in that fields drop down. So I've added the fields here. And then this is where you can add the different either custom variables like count of high priority issues, or you can add the list of entities or list of, let's say, issues, etc. And based on all this configuration, you'd be able to see these fields populated on the Word document. So that is where you need to configure first, and then you'd be able to see the same here and add it. Now let's go to one of the audit engagement and actually go ahead and apply this template. So I'm going to go to audit workspace. And let's take an example of this audit. I would now see the generate report button, which used to be available only on the follow-up state of the audit engagement, but now it's available on all the states. So I can use this generate report and choose the template which I want. So in this case, I'm going to choose advanced audit report template. And we'll go ahead and generate it. Once it is generated, I'm going to refresh this and I will be able to see how this report looks like. Now we added a couple of new fields here in the reporting section. We used to have a previously classic report template based on XML and HTML. Now we added a new option here for Word report template. So once you choose that, the button will start showing up. And the report that we just generated has been updated in this particular field. Either it can be updated as a attachment, or you can define cloud document configuration, and that particular report will be updated to a folder location which you specify. Now let's go ahead and open up this particular report. And let's look at how that particular report looks like. So it generated the whole report for me, taking the name of the engagement, the type of the engagement, the end date of the engagement. It also calculated the number of high priority issues and observations for me, as well as the recommendations. It ingested the objective. If you also notice, it actually added the table as well for me with retaining my formatting. So it added the table. It also added the list of issues here, list of observations. And then let's look at the content block as well. So it added the content block for issue. Since we only have one issue, it didn't repeat itself. But if you look at the observation, we had more than one observations here. So each observation and the details of the observation will repeat itself. So there's observation number 1, observation 2, 3, etc. So these are the content blocks that will repeat itself. And lastly, you see the number of names of the entity owners and the audit contacts here. So all of this is coming from existing ServiceNow record. And you can define this template for not only for engagement, but for other tables as well. All right, so that is what I had. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Anup to take you over some of the other features from the compliance side. Go ahead, Anup.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anushree. Wonderful demo on the compliance and audit side. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good evening. This is Anup. I'm be covering on the corporate compliance set of features that has been added. So just give me a second. I'm just going to start sharing the screen. In the interest of time, I'll just skip few slides, just focus on what has been added as part of the Yokohama release. This one slide just give an outline on what are the problem statement that has been added. So just to give a flavor, when we're dealing with the regulatory change management activity in the application for a compliance user, the first and foremost activity that has been involved is to review and ascertain the nature of its impact. What used to support in the tool till date was we used to provide you a risk-based approach where you determine these are your entities, that is your business or your operations or your functions that are likely to be impacted because of this regulatory change. Now we have taken this to the next level by the adoption of smart assessment, which has been launched last year. We see a lot of benefits where the compliance team can involve multiple members, and not to mention ability to configure and set up your own regulatory specific templates. Now, what that means is if you're a compliance member dealing with multiple jurisdictions, different type of regulations, press releases, and you want the system to have it configured in a way that if you're dealing with European Union Act, here's your assessment set of questions. If you're dealing with data privacy, here's your set of questions. Now you can tailor it as per your need. So with the power of smart assessment, what we've introduced is you can fuse these capabilities into the whole regulatory change program, assign it to various members, be it a compliance member, the legal team, and get their response accordingly documented, which each of those responses will now influence you to perform a detailed applicability assessment study, which you can actually initiate whether you are now ready to implement the change for your business or not. So in the life cycle, this is an introduction of allowing you to do either a risk-based impact assessment or a regulatory change impact assessment, which has been powered by Smart Assessment. Now, what I will do is I'll dive into the application to give you a preview on how this has been configured and tailored. For this, I've just impersonated as a compliance member, where on a daily basis, this is a regulatory change which is residing in their landing page. Now, as you read through the details, you will notice there is a change in the overall UI operations that has been laid out. To start with, there is an assess impact. So depending on the nature of the impact that you wish to perform, we are giving you the options to either perform a risk-based impact or a regulatory assessment. So what this allows you to do is based on the templates that you have configured, here are some of those assessment templates that we have predefined. Be it depending on the nature of those jurisdictions, your global regulations, you can configure n number of those templates. Now, as a requester, you have the option to select and choose which is the most relevant that you want to go ahead and initiate. Is it a gap assessment or a preliminary assessment where you want to determine how relevant is this regulatory change for your business? Followed by that, you also have an option to assign it to either a group or multiple members within your business line. Of course, within a stipulated time frame where you want the response to be completed. Say, for example, if you pick up an assessment template and these are the assessors, you want to roll it out with a specific time frame, you can hit the send button, which will roll out a unique assessment to those respective individual members. So for quick reference, here are a set of those regulatory assessments that has been assigned to various members. Some of them you can see the progress activity, which has been ranging from closure to open state. For quick reference, we are going to run through the one which has been assigned to the self member, which is Allison. And as I preview the details, this is the same structure and the responsive experience that you've seen as part of the assessment layout. Once you kickstart the whole assessment response, you can document and capture the response for each of the questions, starting with the nature of its applicability, how relevant or important is this, and based on that, if there is the nature of the conditional questions that can be considered. For more details, if you wish to see as a respondent what is the nature of that regulatory alert that has been identified, you get to see on the right-hand panel where the details has been laid out in a nice card style view, giving you more detailed information, what is the source of that information, and additional details that you can review and work out. On the subsequent sections, depending on how you structure and organize, you can go ahead and respond, be it from a yes or no base to free text, or even if you wish to identify which of those relevant requirements or the controls measures that need to be revised in response to the regulatory change. So as you can see, this with the power of smart assessment, we can actually embed within the regulatory change program and tailor as per your need. So this is one of the significant enhancements that has been added as part of the Yokohama release. Now I'll just move on to the next slide, which is covering on the compliance case. On similar lines, as part of the whole process of reviewing a compliance case, we introduced the flexibility to work on those compliance assessments, which needs to be reviewed by various members. With the power of smart assessment, again, what we have leveraged is the ability to define multiple assessment templates, roll it out to different members, and get their response in a collective fashion. In addition to that, we are also introducing a task-based assessment experience, which means for a respondent who is going to review and capture the response to each of these assessments, you can perform it in a life cycle state approach, ranging from new to in progress and identifying multiple members who can also contribute to your assessment as well. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to impersonate as one of the case manager who has a case that has been currently assigned and awaiting for further action or investigation. Over here, as you see in the landing page screen, here's a case that is currently being assigned and awaiting for further investigation. As you navigate to the action task, here are a range of those assessments that are currently being assigned and awaiting for further action. Let's go into the details and find out what has been improved. The first and foremost activity that you'll come across is with the fusion of smart assessment, you will have the option to select what is the type of assessment questionnaire from your drop-down list. For the example purpose, here are some of those questions that have been configured. And based on your selection criteria, you can assign it to a task owner, of course, within a specific time frame where the response has to be completed. Once you have acknowledged that this is now ready for collecting the assessment, here's the progress activity of those assessment that has been generated. Now let's go ahead and review those assessment from a task-based approach. Now this is a new improved experience that I've just talking about, where the case member who has been analyzed to respond to each of these assessments, you get to see an improved homepage experience where they can review what is the nature of the question, what is the purpose of that assessment that has been identified, and of course, more details that you can actually initiate. For starters, you can also initiate something called as discuss, which means you would like to invite multiple contributors or collaborators into this forum where you would like to get their response into the consideration as well. So this is another way wherein you can actually bring in the whole notion of collaboration from multiple stakeholders in your business line. You also do have an option to reassign, sensing that you might not be the actual owner. You always have the power to go ahead and change this ownership at any point in time. Now let's go ahead and start the whole assessment journey. This remains the same process as you have witnessed in across all the smart assessment lifecycle demos, where you can actually respond to each of those questions that has been structured for the specific case that has been identified. And these are the range of questions that has been structured from data access to data entry and data integrity, and you can provide your response on your timely fashion. And as you see on the right-hand panel, you also get to see a glimpse on what is the nature of that case, and of course the action task that has been raised as well. So everything right in front of your fingertips, so you can actually get to the details of what needs to be responded in a timely fashion. Now, as a respondent, you have all of these options right in front of your screen, ranging from submit and of course to cancel if you feel that this is not something that I need to work on. With that being said, so these are the two major enhancements I would call out that has been added part of the Yokohama release for corporate compliance. To summarize, for the compliance management team, what we've introduced with the flexibility to organize your questionnaires, roll it out as part of regulatory change program, as well as your compliance case assessment, and have your identified respondents respond to each of those questions in a timely fashion. So with that being said, we kind of reached to the end of the hour for the journey for corporate compliance. I will now hand it over to Emily to provide the next set of action. Over to you, Emily.
Thank you so much, Anoop, and wonderful demos you and Anushree gave. Really, really excited for these updates. Just a reminder that everything you saw here today and more is available on the ServiceNow store. And so since we're coming up to the hour, if we did not have time to answer your questions today, please be sure to reach out to your ServiceNow representative and schedule some time with our team so that we can address your questions and talk about specific use cases that you may have. You can also post your questions in the GRC community, which you see here on the screen. Go ahead and scan that QR code or visit servicenow.com/community. Here is your one-stop shop for all things risk. You can access onboarding kits, assets to help you with your implementation planning, training resources, release notes, and you can get all the information on our upcoming workshops, webinars, and live events. So scan this QR code, bookmark this site because you'll definitely want to check it out. And speaking of events, if you haven't heard already, upcoming is Knowledge 25. Knowledge is our exclusive in-person user event where you can explore new innovations and gain practical guidance from thought leaders and customers. Expand your knowledge with hands-on training, labs, and interactive sessions while networking with other industry professionals. Registration is open and it is filling up fast, so don't miss your opportunity to join us in May in Las Vegas. And if you can't make this event, save the date for our October event. We're joining forces with our security teams to host a 3-day risk and security conference in Santa Clara. Join us for a deep dive into our risk and security solutions. Hear from our industry experts, peers, and product experts, including Anoop and Anushree, where we will learn how you can transform your risk and security programs with ServiceNow. Registration is open and seats are limited, so make sure that you register soon. And with that, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure that you complete the survey. It only takes a couple of minutes. We'd love to hear how you feel about this session and others so that we can continue to improve. Thanks again to Anushree and Anoop for all of the great enhancements today. And thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day.